Broadcasting live from the Wellness Wonderland, you're listening to the Wellness Wonderland Radio. I'm Katie, and each week I chat with the most inspirational people on the planet on how to stay inspired in all areas of life. As you listen, feel free to tweet at me at Katie Dalebout or use the hashtag Wellness Wonderland. I'd love to hear your aha moments. So grab your headphones and listen on the go, or cuddle up with a notebook as we dive in deep with authentic conversations right here in Wonderland. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Katie, your host, and today I have an amazing guest who I'm going to get to in a moment. It's a long episode, so brace yourselves. Maybe you listen to it in a couple chunks, a couple drives, a couple walks, however you listen. Let me know. A couple of you guys have been tweeting at me or Instagramming where you're listening to the podcast, and that is so much fun to see that on the hashtag and to be able to connect online. That's so great. So keep doing that. That's fantastic. If you want to support the show, a couple ways to do so. As you know, leaving a review on iTunes is great. That's a great way to do it. Subscribing on iTunes actually helps out a ton. So if you want to just hit the subscribe button on your phone, it's great for you. It's great for me. It puts it right on your phone so you never miss an episode. And of course, the best way of all to support the show is to tell a friend about the show. If you like a particular episode or you think it would help a friend or would be informative to someone or really just entertain someone, send it their way. That would be really great. So are you guys on my email list? I hope so. The link to join that will be in the show notes. And some good news about the show notes. So for a while there was a glitch in my hosting service and Apple where you couldn't click on the album art on your listening device, and then if you're listening in iTunes, and then get the show notes, but now you can. So there's live links on your phone. If you just click the album art, there'll be live links to everything I'm talking about in the episode, as well as the link where you can join my mailing list, as well as the Facebook group. There's about 500 people in there, which is amazing. So if you listen to the show and you want to connect with other people who listen to the show, if you want to connect with me, the Facebook crew is the place to be. The link is in there. Join that. It's a really fun place on the internet to hang out, and it's a nice little forum. We are exactly a month away, the day I'm recording this actually, but by the time you're listening to this, we're less than a month away from my book, Let It Out, A Journey Through Journaling, being out in the world. And it's available for pre-order now, so get on that. It's on Amazon for pre-order, Barnes & Noble, wherever you shop. There's a link to it on my website. If you go to katiedelebout.com/let-it-out, again, the link's in the show notes, you can find out where to buy it, get all the links. You can see the trailer video for the book. And if you haven't seen the trailer, it's really a fun trailer I shot this summer in Toronto with some friends, and it's a good time. It's a good 1-2 minutes of your life to check out. And there's also a bunch of bonuses you can get when you pre-order the book. So some of them include interviews that haven't been released anywhere else with my friend Jordan Bach. There's a video I did with him about journaling, an interview with Aaron Stutland, and an interview with Nancy Levin. 3 of my mentors, 3 of my friends, all talking about journaling. You can also get PDFs from me with the deleted tracks from the book. I'm calling them the deleted tracks. They're basically exercises, journaling prompts that I thought of after the book was already printed. So I'm giving them to you in a PDF form. There's a bunch of other bonuses that you can get. So that's all on my website. And I hope you guys are liking the new website as much as I am. Everything's a bit more organized there. It's my mature home. I was in my starter home website with thewellnesswonderland.com, and now moving over to katiedelebout.com, I think it's my more mature home. It's a little bit, like I said, more organized, maybe more sophisticated. I don't know. It is what it is. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. And if you want to hang out in person, we talked about where you can hang out online, but if you want to hang out in person, I'm going to be in New York City the week that my book comes out. That's April 5th, 2016. So whenever you're listening, that's when I'm going to be there. And on April 5th, the day that the book drops, I'm doing a live podcast episode with my podcast bestie, Christy Harrison, who hosts Food Psych, who's been on my show twice. I've been on her show twice. And all the info and where to get tickets, they're only $10. We're having a panel discussion with so many cool people. I'll just give you a taste. Caroline Dooner is going to be there. She's going to play some songs for us. Kelsey Miller, author of Big Girl and editor at Refinery 29, is going to be on the panel, and some other really amazing people. So sign up, get your tickets, be there. It's my first ever live podcast, so I'm super psyched. And then the next night, the following night, Wednesday, April 6th, at Ginger Snap Organic, which is an amazing raw vegan restaurant where my friend Jamie, who you know from the podcast, she is the owner, she is the chef there, and the food is amazing. And Jordan Bach, who you also know from the podcast, and Gabby Bernstein, who you also know from the podcast and beyond, are hosting my launch party there at Ginger Snap at 7:30 on Wednesday, April 6th. So let me know if you guys can come to that. I would love to see you. I would love to give hugs in person. I would love to hang out. Both events are going to be super laid back, really fun. We're going to have books there that I'll sign, and I just can't wait to see you guys in person. It's really fun and all hosting a podcast, but at the end of the day, I'm talking to my mic, and I really am excited to be able to talk to real people in person. I love when I get to meet people who listen to the podcast, so I hope that a lot of podcast listeners will be at these events. And let me know what you guys think of the book. If you are one of my ambassadors and you've already gotten to read the pre-release copy, let me know what you think. The response so far has been great. People are liking it. Yay! I've been really nervous about putting it out there and seeing what people think, but so far so good. So I can't wait for everyone to have it. Pre-order a copy for yourself. Maybe you want to pre-order one for a friend. That'd be cool. And hopefully I'll see you in New York. So enjoy this episode and stick around till the very end, because at the end of the episode, I'm going to tell you about who's coming on the show next week. Enjoy Arden Rose, amazing YouTuber. You'll hear all about her in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. I'm super psyched for today's episode. Arden Rose is here, the amazing YouTuber who's witty and comical, and just her personality is the most amazing thing ever, and she's beautiful on the outside and inside, and we only just met officially a few minutes ago, but we already decided to become friends because she's super awesome, and I'm so excited to have her on the show. So thanks for being here, Arden.
That intro might have been the nicest thing that anyone's ever said about me. So thank you. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to be here.
I mean it. I'm so excited to have you. So take us back for everyone who's listening, who might not know you or might not be familiar with your work. How did you get into YouTube? I know that you started at a really young age, and so tell me about how you even started to watch other people. Was that how you decided to start making a channel yourself? Take us back.
Yeah, so it's funny. I was just writing a script because I'm going to do a Draw My Life video. So I feel like I've got this down pat.
Oh, good. This is practice.
I just had to bring up those memories, so they're so fresh. So I started off because actually I was 14 when I started my YouTube channel, and the reason why I started it was because my friend Kennedy was moving about 3 hours away from me, and we wanted a way to connect and hang out. And so the way that we decided to do that, because we had been watching the Michelle Pfons of the world and a lot of different beauty gurus together, and we were actually one of the only people, the groups of people in our class, in our grade, that were all about the YouTube life. Because now when you look at 14-year-olds, they love YouTube. YouTube is their thing. It's
right.
My biggest audience. But at the time, it was kind of a weird thing to be watching. So we did it alone in our rooms together. So we made channels together, and she ended up not really liking it that much, or she just decided it was too much work or whatever she ended up doing. And I just kept doing it because I was like, this is a fun thing to do. And I was very extroverted, but I didn't have that many friends, and my one big friend had just moved away out of town. So I was like, I have this whole summer to myself and I have no one to hang out with. I'm just going to make friends on the internet because, that's safe. So yeah, that's pretty much how it came about. And it started more as a beauty fashion blog at the time. And I think it's kind of transformed now. And I think the fun thing about my channel, not to toot my own horn. In fact, this isn't even like a toot my own horn situation, but not to talk about myself too much, but but when I was 14, I really loved beauty and fashion, and now I do more like self-helpy kind of videos with a little bit more of a production value behind them. So it's kind of fun because if you watch my videos back from the beginning, you can see
Yeah.
me as a 14-year-old talking about MAC makeup, and now you can see me talking about like bras that don't fit. So,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing about having a being like a public figure online, or having a presence. That's the word I was looking for. Having a
Yeah.
presence online, it becomes your scrapbook. And then, as you know, in our 20s, this is, I've been saying this a ton on the show, but I think it's like the second adolescence that nobody really tells you about. That's just, you're changing and growing so quickly. And I'll just speak for myself. I feel like that's been the case for me. And since I've been, blogging and podcasting for so much of this, that's just kind of changed and grown along with me. Same with your channel. And I relate to you a lot, where you were focused on beauty. I was focused on health and wellness from a physical standpoint for the beginning of my work online. And then, like you did with beauty, I've just broadened that, and now I look at health and wellness as a whole life thing, and making your life as a whole really beautiful, not just your body and what you're eating, and also your relationships. And so it has morphed into a more self-help thing. And it's the same thing with beauty. It's not just this one thing to make you beautiful, it's your life as a whole.
Yeah, no, I love the way you put that. And I think that's absolutely true. I think that's the great thing about being someone who has a presence online, is that you can kind of be a lot of young girls, and I'm sure you feel this way too. You can be kind of like a voice for young girls who are a little bit lost because you were just there, and there's
Right.
evidence that you were just there. And now you can kind of help them coach through when you've been so close to the situation, rather than talking to someone who's, like 20 years old or 30 years older than them, which is kind of nice. You get to be like the older sister of the internet. And like, that's my favorite feeling, where I'm like, I'm still cool. I'm not your mom, even though they call me mom all the time. I'm sure you get that too.
I
But
definitely don't get that. I don't have I'm a bit older than you, so I don't have, even like what you were saying about, there's such a quick divide with technology, makes like such a big divide between generations now, where like
yeah,
when I was in high school, like YouTube wasn't a thing at all. Like I didn't even have, I mean, it existed, but it existed of like, there weren't YouTubers really, or
yeah,
I
it was
wasn't
cat videos or like
yeah.
code videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And so I was thinking about this today when I was thinking about interviewing you, and this is something I wrote down to ask you is, what is it like having the platform that you have, and being this voice for, like you were just saying, for all of these young girls, and like holding space for them. And I just, like, I love on your Tumblr so much. You're so real, and you're so authentic, and you're so genuinely helpful to these young girls who, like you said, look up to you so much and call you mom, which is like the weird, that's like the goofiest thing to me, that
Oh
like
my
that's a
gosh.
thing.
It's so
um
upsetting. I'm like, I'm 20. Please don't do this to me yet.
I
Like,
learned that on OMFG, that was even a thing. So maybe we should like loop everyone in who's listening, because people who are older might not understand this. But young kids call like celebrities like Arden, and like also other celebrities, mom and dad online. Like, do you even know where this came from?
so it's weird. It like popped up randomly. When it first started happening, I thought it was like I thought that I was having a stroke or something. I was like, why is everyone did my account change?
Did
Like
I have
what
a
happened?
child?
Yeah, I'm sorry. When did this mysterious child appear? So, actually it happened about 2 years ago is when I really
Oh
started seeing the moms.
wow.
Yeah, which
I'm
is
like
crazy.
archaic then. I like just learned about this.
No, no, it's not even archaic though, because I feel like that was when like Tumblr would use it. You know what I mean? It was like a little bit
Yeah.
more niche. It was like, oh, you're my mom. But now it's like, mom, mom, mom.
Oh
Like I
my
have a million
god.
kids. Literally have a million kids.
Yeah.
So really weird. And also my boyfriend, who's also a YouTuber and a
Yeah.
filmmaker, he is dad. So we're like the mom
Parents.
dad. Yeah, it's the weirdest feeling, and it's odd. But the reason, like, because someone has given me that title, I now feel this like necessity to nurture them,
Right.
which is probably really weird and a little bit creepy. But like I have like this innate feeling like they need to be doing better because of me. Like I need to help them. And maybe that's a good thing. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I think that's really noble that you take pride in that, and you're helping them so much. Like I was saying, I read your Tumblr and I'm just like, oh my God, if I would have had this information when I was there in high school, this would have helped me so much.
Oh my
And
God.
just the fact that, like, I wish there would have been Tumblr when I was in high school so I could have, like, found this information about the things you don't want to ask. Like you were saying, you don't want to ask someone who's in their 20s, or you don't want to ask, your parents for sure, or even like your real older siblings or people who are so close to you. It's almost like there's this anonymity talking to someone you don't know and you have like so much distance with, but also you relate to and look up to. And it's so amazing. How do you like, I guess I don't even know how to articulate this, but how do you hold all of that energy and that space for like you were saying, having all of these children, but at the same time, like, you're super young and you're just figuring it out.
Yeah, no, I think it helps that I was on the internet as a teenager as well. Like I think we were probably right, you and I were probably right on the edge together of where you could have had the internet in high school, in the sense like that I had it later on in high school, where I could look up things that I wouldn't normally be able to ask my parents, and I got really
Mm.
comfortable with myself online, and I could explore things that I would have been uncomfortable talking to my parents about. And and that was just something, because I came from a very conservative family, so it was harder for me to learn things, by going to school. We weren't taught things like I would have wanted to probably be taught them now, and how I would want to teach my kids now, which I don't have any. Well, apparently I have millions. But no, I think the fact that I remember being in that place as a high schooler, where like I was naive and I would let things go when I shouldn't have, and I would kind of like let my femininity make me weaker, which was really
Mm.
dumb of me, because women are strong, empowering people, and we shouldn't make ourselves timid to make other people feel better. And that was something that I learned after high school, after the fact. And so if you look on my Tumblr, a lot of my Tumblr is me being like, woman up, lady, like do
Yeah.
your thing. Because so many times, whether it's like sexually or intimately, like a lot of young girls don't feel like they're a secondary item to that, which I think is ridiculous.
Oh
So
my
that's what a
gosh,
lot
yeah.
of so if you've read a lot of my Tumblr recently, it's a lot of
Mhm.
that, me being like, ladies, stand up for yourself,
Oh my
like.
God, it's so good too. Yeah, and it's so needed. And like you were saying, it's so needed. So going back, you said you grew up in Arkansas, right?
Yeah, yeah, I was born in the South.
So you're born in the South and you come from this like conservative family. How did you find your, can I call it feminism? I mean, I think of
Yeah.
you as a feminist for sure. How did you learn this and become such an empowered woman yourself, and then therefore empowering all of your children, shall we call them?
We're
Rosebuds.
thinking referring to, yeah, exactly, rosebud,
Garden.
my rosebud children, yes. um no, it's funny because I never really, if you go really really far back on my Tumblr, someone asked me if I was a feminist, and I said no, because I was the way that I grew up, feminist was not a good word. Like even now, if you ask a lot of my family, that's a dirty word.
Mm.
So it was a really weird upbringing, because I always innately knew that, like, wait a second, like I'm just as good as any other gender. Like why am I suddenly not as great
Yeah.
because I'm a woman? Like that's just ridiculous. And I knew that. And like my personality type, I'm an ENTP, so I'm like a debater. I love debating things. I love like
Mm.
trying different ideas, and I'm like very exploratory, I guess you could say. So when I was online, I would read about all these things, and then eventually it became like everything my core belief was that I had learned in this very sheltered conservative upbringing. I was like, this is all just so small. Why am I thinking this way? And I think YouTube really helped with that, because when I was like 16, I would fly out to LA to do different shoots, and I was working with a company called Awesomeness TV, and they're great. But I met a lot of girls that had a completely different upbringing from me. So I got out of this kind of bubble and got to meet different people in different walks of life. And I was like, this is not like, I like the way they're living. I like the way they're doing things. Why am I doing things a certain way? And I think the fact that I went through that kind of transformation and said, like maybe this isn't the right way I should be thinking or feeling. It was a large reason why I moved to California, so I could kind of be my own person for a little while. But now I want other people to be able to feel that as well, because I think it can be so hard growing up and hearing one mentality constantly. And I think it's really prevalent in the South and the Midwest in America as well, that it's hard for women to feel like they can come out of their own. And I want to be able to bring that to young girls who feel kind of sheltered otherwise. And that doesn't mean that you have to choose my lifestyle. It just means that you should be educated on all lifestyles so you can make your own educated choice.
Yeah. It's so fantastic because, like you said, there's these areas of the country and the world, I guess, that are really sheltered and don't have this information. And another thing that's amazing about the internet is that you can bring these ideas that you were able to get because you had that great opportunity to go to LA, meet other people from different backgrounds, and question the way that you were brought up and the things that you just took as fact from growing up. And of course you would. And I had a very similar experience. And I think that it's so great that YouTubers like you exist and that you do care about the way that you're perceiving yourself online, because you just must be, with everything you do, you're really in the public eye now. You have millions of followers and so many people look up to you that must just be, I don't know, I just honor you a lot, because that just must be a lot to hold and have to think about as you're living your life and figuring things out. And I don't know, I honor you for that, because that must be exciting and fun in so many ways, but also challenging in others.
Yeah, thank you. That's really sweet of you. I never really
Yeah.
thought about it like that, but thanks. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's fun. I think the most rewarding thing is meeting people in person that have a personal connection with you. Like for instance, like someone on Tumblr, that most Tumblr people remain anonymous, so you can't, contact them. Because honestly, if someone on Tumblr remained like active and I could see them, I would message them directly and have a full blown conversation if they wanted to with me. Just because I like talking to people, but there's
That's
not a lot
your
of
Myers-Briggs.
yeah, yeah, it really is. So it's hard for me because I feel like I have this big audience, but I don't ever get to pinpoint a single person and say like, "Hope you're doing okay." Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to do that. And I used to love being like that when I had a smaller channel. I was a little bit more niche and a little bit more indie, so I could kind of hone in on people and really check up on them. And I had a lot of like close viewers that I would talk to. And like it, as much as it's great to have a bigger audience, it makes me sad because I feel like I can't talk to as many people without there being like an ulterior motive, like them wanting me to like follow them or something, which,
Right.
is great. If you have something great to say, I would love to follow you. But a
But
lot of
there's
times,
so much.
yeah, it's just a lot. And I wish I could just chat with people sometimes, which is what my YouTube videos ultimately are. It's just me
Yeah.
wanting to chat.
And you can sense that, even though that's what I really love about you, because even though and I just found you recently, but even though your audience, so I've only really known you since your audience has been humongous, but you can just tell you're not, it's when you sit down to make a video, to me, it doesn't seem like you're sitting down and talking to millions of people, which you are, but you're just having a conversation with your friends, with your, what you call your rosebuds, which I love. Is that what you really have to remind yourself when you sit down to make a video?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think like before as well, it was similar to that. Like I don't think I've ever lost the idea that I'm just talking to a couple people because that's what it always feels like. Or
Mm-hmm.
rather, it almost feels like I'm talking to myself, which is which is probably bad. Or like it's like a secret diary that I get to put online.
Yeah, it's like your journal.
Yeah, yeah, and that's great, and I love it. I think what sucks about it is that then people kind of like to nitpick everything you say and try to make you like I never want to feel like I'm an authoritative figure or someone that you should look up to as like this holy grail person because I'm always going to make mistakes. And it's really bad when you make mistakes online to a large audience of people without realizing it. Like I've had like multiple videos where I look back on it now when I was 15 years old and held like a completely different view. And there are internet forums that'll say that I'm like a terrible person and that I have like a really skewed view of the world and like all this stuff, just referring to things that happened, 3 or 4 years ago. So that can get a little irritating when people like to nitpick. But other
Yeah.
than that, I think it's great. And I think that's the only downside to having a really big audience is that now a lot of people don't follow me because they like me. Some people actually follow me because they don't like me, which is a really weird feeling. I hate that feeling. And this is something that I just realized like last week that people do that. Did you know that? People will follow you because they don't like you.
That's the whole point of like not. That's why it's a choice. Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I always say. I'm like, why would you do this? But I think they like to like check up on you for no reason. It's like I
that's
guess it's the same thing for like when people don't like the Kardashians or something like that. Like they watch them because they're popular. I don't know. I don't get that logic. I cannot seem to understand that logic. But
yeah. Well, I
yeah,
mean,
that's
it kind of goes back to what we were saying before about, when you're growing up online in this public way, you're going to grow and transition, and some of the stuff that you did 5 years ago, 6 years ago, may not be your best work, and you may not stand behind what you did as a 15-year-old, as a 20-year-old, because we're changing so quickly in our teens and in our 20s, and that's online. And I think giving someone the opportunity to grow and change is the mark of a decent human being. And the people
yeah.
who don't, like, they're not your real rosebuds.
Yep, that is what I have learned and that is how I feel about that
Yeah.
now.
I mean, I have like a -1% of the audience that you do, but whenever people ask me, like starting a blog or starting a podcast or making videos or whatever, I always say, and they have the question about, how do you do it when no one's watching yet? And
Oh yeah.
my answer is always just pretend like they are, because eventually someday they will be. And the first thing that you're going to do when you're obsessed with someone new that you find, or what I do, is I go back and like binge watch everything or listen to everything
Yep.
they've ever done, and that archive will be listened to or watched by millions of people potentially. So make it good and like do your best work now. And this really speaks to that exact point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's true. I think yeah, I got a lot of questions that are pretty similar where it's just like, how do I start YouTube? How do I start blah blah blah? And
Yeah,
I think like,
I want to hear your answer to that.
oh yeah, I have like basically the same answer as you. The only thing that I would say when in regards to like a YouTube channel rather than like well no, I guess it applies the same to a podcast. I think I would say also don't do it obviously have the intention of getting bigger and obviously have the intention of speaking to a larger audience, but don't get it in your head that you need to have a certain number to be successful because that's where people get kind of caught up and a little bit squirreled up in the whole rigmarole of whether it be podcasting or whether it be
Mm-hmm.
YouTubing. It can be really troublesome when you have an audience of 20 subscribers and then you decide like, okay, this is not enough. I'm just going to quit. The moment you quit, you're never going to get bigger. Like it's an algorithm that will bring you up over time, but you just need to be sticking with it. And I think that's the biggest thing I say. The moment you start feeling discouraged, make another video or make another
Mm.
podcast, make another episode.
Yeah, do your art. Like, keep doing your art and just
Mm-hmm.
do it for you. There's this great David Bowie quote that
Oh,
I
R.I.P.
know, R.I.P. That I tweeted it last week. I don't remember it even, so I don't even know. I want to get this right, but I'll look it up and I'll tell you. But basically, he's saying like, don't do your art for you, or don't. Sorry, that's the opposite. See, this is why I should be reading it. But he was saying, don't do the art for your audience. Do it for you. And then your audience will benefit. And I think that he said it much more eloquently than I just did. But
That was
basically,
wonderful. No,
thank
that
you.
was great.
Thank you. Paraphrasing here. But it was something like that. And it really hit me hard because it helped me understand the fact that we were just talking about, when you're doing it for the love of it, when you're doing it for you, when you're doing it because it's enriching your life, it's going to be more genuine, more authentic, and then that will be sensed by the people who do see it or listen to it, and they'll feel that and like that. So I think that that's really all we can do, and I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
absolutely. I think it can be tough because, like, even hearing that quote, I'm like, of course David Bowie said that because he is just a pioneer. And
Right.
you could tell, like, he did not give a single F when he was doing his thing. Like, he loved every phase that he had, I think, which is
Yep.
great. And he was constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And
And
he was
in the
just,
public
yeah,
eye, like we were talking about.
Yeah, yeah, even his final works, like those were iconic.
I
Like
know.
the last album that he put out was amazing. And like he clearly, if he had been listening to probably outside voices, it would have been like, I'm too old to do this. I'm too sick to do
Exactly.
this. And he's like, nope, I'm so cool. I'm gonna like be cool to the grave, which I think is amazing. And I think he alone is a great testament to what makes a great artist. And it's just, you're right, someone who just doesn't care, who just wants to do it to be creative and have an outlet. And I think a lot
Exactly.
of times, yeah, and I think a lot of times with stuff like podcasts and YouTube and, you know, blogs and anything else that goes on online, I think it's sad sometimes because it can be very easy to go from enjoying what you're doing to making it not only a job, because making it a job is fine, but making it a chore and something you feel obligated to do and something that you feel pressure to do and perform a certain way. And that's something that I've struggled with a lot in the past couple months because I've been really kind of changing up my style a little bit. I've been trying new things, and I feel like there's constant judgment on all sides trying to figure out whether you're doing
Mm.
something new or if you're just dropping off the face of the earth. Um, and so I don't know. I think it's great to learn that you just need to do it for you, though. You do you, girl.
Exactly. I'm gonna send you that Bowie quote so you can actually see it, like articulated it better. But because I know you'll love it, and we basically just talked about it. But
Oh,
yeah,
I'm a poster of it. I gotta find one on Etsy. I'm sure there's one.
I'm
I'm sure
sure.
there's
I'm
one.
sure. Um, so I guess we should. I want to take people back a little bit more. So you start this channel, with your friend to stay in touch, and then take us back to what that was like in high school. It starts. Does it just start growing organically? Like, take us from starting when you had probably like no followers, and then how did you really grow it to what it is today?
Oh yeah. So well, yeah, everyone starts from 0 subscribers, which I think is great. And like nowadays, there are people who have friends that are YouTubers, so you can kind of get like a leg up on true beginners. But I was in a really sweet spot when I was younger, where YouTube was just becoming a thing. Like beauty gurus and people who were doing fashion and makeup online was just becoming a thing, and it was changing from when it was strictly tutorials, like people just wanting to know how to do a cat eye and like that's it, to people wanting to hear like a personality behind beauty and fashion and like have a girlfriend that they could talk to online. And I think, not to toot my own horn at all, but I think
No,
part of the
two
reason.
away. That's what this is all. This is your hour to toot. So
Aww.
toot like your. Sounds like I'm talking about farting, but
Yeah,
you
I
can
was
do
about
that
to say this is
too.
very farty. Yeah, this is all audio, so I will try to refrain from that. But no, it was a lot of like I felt like I could be a friend to a lot of 14-year-old, 15-year-olds about to go into high school because I had that voice at the time.
Yeah.
And my makeup videos were not professional. I wasn't doing really professional tutorials that were very well thought out. I was using my birthday money to buy makeup so that
Mm.
I could show it online. It wasn't like I was some really well done up person online. Not that I am even
So
now,
you
but
were relatable to people. That was probably a lot of your appeal.
yeah, hashtag relatable, you know?
Yeah.
It was
How did you even learn how to do makeup from other beauty gurus on YouTube? Was that, or did you have like people in IRL that?
No,
Um,
yeah, it was all YouTubers. Yeah,
Very
it
cool.
was Michelle Phan was a big one. She's still my favorite. I think she's great. But no, yeah, I learned it all online, and then right when I started doing my YouTube channel, I was wearing more and more makeup because I had like an undiagnosed compulsive disorder where I would pull out my eyebrows and my eyelashes. And at the time, I would just use more makeup to cover it up. So, in a weird way, I was like learning because I had this thing I was struggling with that I didn't even
Mm.
know what it was. I just thought I was like a weird, quirky girl. And so I would do these videos to make myself kind of feel a little bit better and put on makeup so I could feel more confident when I was kind of masking this other problem that I had. But I think the chip on my shoulder because of that came across in videos in a lot of ways. Because I think people can sense when you have something that you're kind of insecure about. And it took me a couple years until I made a video about it. But I think having that beneath like a beauty kind of exterior and doing something very like I never want to, it's not like vapid or aesthetic, but it's very like you have what you are and then you have like the makeup that you're wearing on your face, right? So I felt like it was kind of nice because I could shield myself with makeup and beauty. But I don't know if it ever came across that way. Now that I look back on my videos, I'm like, I can tell that I was like an insecure child at this point.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting. And then eventually you decided you use that as a mask to allow yourself to do YouTube, and then eventually you decided to take that off and share, which I think is so noble. So can you talk a little bit about the like how you decided, or how you not decided, how you got diagnosed and realized that you had that, and what that is, and then take us into how you decided and when you decided to share it and what that experience was like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've made a video about this before, but I didn't really go in full depth, so I want to make a new one, but this can be like the precursor to that.
Ooh,
Ooh,
exclusive.
what can I say? So yeah, it started off really weirdly. So basically, I have an ICD disorder, or it's an ICD that is called trichotillomania. And the way I found out what it was I would put on lots of coats of mascara on my eyes, and then I would get like really, really excited about being able to pull out the clumps. And anyone who has like an obsessive compulsive or an impulse control disorder will tell you that's like so key. Like dermatillomania, whatever it is, it's all about picking and feeling relief in picking or biting your nails or whatever it is. It's just like a release. And it happens a lot when you're growing up, and it's genetic, but also it happens a lot when you're growing up and you have anxiety, but you don't like sharing with people, which is one of my biggest problems. Is I'm not a feelings person. So all my stuff gets internalized. I get sick in my stomach all the time, and it's just like something that I deal with on the regular. So my biggest thing is that when I'm anxious or tired or stressed, I pick. And I didn't realize that it was like a serious thing or anything until I was in my freshman year of high school, and I was a cheerleader, which is really out of character for me because as much as I was like an extrovert and I loved being around people, I wasn't like someone who would like to perform in front of a crowd and do like pom pom shows or anything like that. But I did it because all my friends were doing it. So I would feel anxious all the time going out with them, and then eventually my friend group changed, and like the cheerleading team didn't exactly like me anymore. And that like week when everything kind of melted down, I had progressively picked out all of my eyelashes and my eyebrows. So I like came to school looking like I had just stuck my face in a furnace.
Mm.
And I had covered it up as best I could, but my parents saw it when I came home. And I was already struggling with like under eating and everything. So I was already kind of like vulnerable and very teenagery and angsty. Um, and when I came home with like a bare face, my mom was like, maybe we should like talk about this, which is not something my parents normally did. Like they're very happy, nice, supportive people, but they don't really like getting in depth with anything negative or uncomfortable. And this was something uncomfortable because it was something that you could look at and be like, she has something wrong with her. So we talked about it a little bit, and they said that maybe I should go to a therapist and see if there was something that I could do for it, because after that day, I had looked it up online and I found trichotillomania, and all my symptoms were the same. So I was like, maybe this is a thing. Maybe they can give me some kind of medicine to help me and I won't be doing this anymore. Because it was like a plague. Like I just couldn't stop doing it. And even now, I still can't stop doing it. I'm like constantly fighting the urge. And my boyfriend knows. And he'll always just be like, stop picking, stop picking. And he's like this great little voice in my ear that keeps me from like being self-destructive. But it really sucked because it was something that eventually it got to such a bad point that people would see it on my YouTube channel, and they would see how bad my eyebrows looked and how it looked like I was wearing like crayon on my eyebrows, and they would be like, why do you do your eyebrows so terribly? Like, where are your eyebrows? So that started getting irritating because you can wear fake eyelashes, but eyebrows are pretty hard to cover up.
Your
So
eyebrows now look amazing, by the way.
thank you. I was scared when I was younger that if I plucked them too much, they wouldn't come back, because that's a huge misnomer. And I can tell you that is not true, because I have plucked out my eyebrows in total probably like 6 times fully. So no, you can grow back pretty much anything. But I went to therapy because I was like, oh, maybe this will be helpful. The only problem was that my therapist was a Christian therapist, which I think can be so wonderful for people who are, followers of Christ, and that's great. I was struggling with my identity as a Christian, and I didn't really align myself with the faith at that time. And so it felt kind of like a kick in the mouth that
Yeah.
someone was telling me that I should kind of pray this problem away. And it was hard because I was like, I don't feel like this is right. And yet I don't feel like I can go against my parents and say that the one time that you're really trying to help me with this, it's wrong. So when I went for the final time, I was like, can you just tell me, like, should I take medication? What should I do? And she was going to put me on a lot of antidepressants trying to combat the kind of like anxiety base of an ICD. And I just didn't want to become like a zombie. And I know
Right.
that like tons of antidepressants will make you feel fine and dandy. But I just decided that instead of doing that, I would lay off caffeine, take naps, and like just focus on making myself less anxious about things. And it really did help. I think after I realized that this isn't something that's going to go away and this is something that I'm going to live with for the rest of my life, that actually, in a weird way, is comforting because then you can just deal with it. And you're like, okay, this is my uncomfortable best friend that I have to deal with. Occasionally we get in a spat, and then that gets really awkward when my face looks like I'm bald. But, you know, after it's over, then that kind of regresses and the best friend goes away for a little while and then you're fine. So, yeah, it was kind of a weird situation. And once again, I discovered all of this while I was online. And I think like the worst time when I was having struggles with it was when people would comment about it. And then that's why I made a
Yeah.
video originally, because I wanted to address it and just say, this is my personal problem and this is
Mm-hmm.
what happened. And what was great is after I made that video, I found like 3 or 4 girls online who are also struggling with the same thing and were also YouTubers.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
yeah, it was great. And it was so refreshing because one of them that I can cite as like such a nice person, I finally met her in person over the summer. Her name is Becky. And she has trichotillomania where she picks at her scalp, which can be really, really devastating and really hard to handle because, you know, a girl wants to have really pretty hair, and that can be really hard when you're just kind of self-destructing. So we related a lot and we talked a lot online, and it really, really helped. It's just nice to know someone's in it with you, you know?
Yeah, always. That's such a great story, and I relate to a ton actually. I don't have trick like you, but and you actually mentioned this as well because it's really I think all mental illnesses and disorders are, you know, the same thing. It's anxiety, and
Yep.
it all comes from the same stuff. And I see with you, you know, like you were saying with your parents and coming to the therapist, I come from a very similar upbringing with not talking about feelings until they bubble up and you have to. And for me, it was my eating disorder. And it was a very visible thing that, you know, we had to talk about it. Where the same thing for you, it sounds like, and it got you into therapy. And it was the same for me. I probably, it was almost like I didn't obviously at the time think of it like this was subconscious, but it was like a cry for help for me to,
Yeah.
you know, talk about these things and get into therapy. And you know, that was very very helpful for me, and brought me on the path that I am now with, you know, doing this work. And then, you know, when I finally decided to share my eating disorder online, it was the exact same thing. Like I actually just wrote a an article about this that hasn't been published yet, but I was really thinking about that time when I decided to share about it. And I'm sure you felt the same way when you made that first video. Like, I was really nervous to put it out there. But as soon as I did and found people that related to it, it was so cathartic for me. I felt so
Yeah.
much relief. And not because I was helping other people. That was, I want to say that that's why I did it, is like to help other people and inspire other people. But really, and that was a really nice byproduct that happened. But and is happening now even, but really the main thing was that I felt like I could be genuine and real, and I felt like I wasn't alone. And at the end of the day, that's why I think we do any of this. I think that's why we do any of our art. I think that's why we do social media for sure, YouTube and blogging and podcasting and all of it. It's like we just don't
Mhm.
want to feel alone, so we take to the computer, you know, because we
Yeah.
used to live in communes and in tribes, and we don't anymore. So the computer is like a virtual way to do that, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think that's basically what anyone online is doing. They want to have someone else to talk to, or they want to have a backboard to bounce their ideas off of or their feelings. And I think that's wonderful and empowering. And I think we live in such a cool time that that's available to us. And it's not, I know earlier I said like, oh, scary that I'm meeting friends online, but that's just not true anymore. Like,
No. I've
I
met
can,
so many friends on, like most
oh
of my
yeah,
friends online.
us. Anyway, so
Yeah, you and me.
exactly. So anytime I'm on Twitter, I love it because there'll be groups of kind of like fandoms, which are like
Yeah.
just groups of girls that love to hang out and like talk about different things and like share ideas about their favorite YouTubers or their favorite celebrities. And it's so cool because sometimes, even though it can get kind of irritating, um, Twitter has a new function where you can DM someone in a group if you follow them or you guys have mutual followings. And so sometimes I'll get put in a group like my boyfriend has a group on his phone that he sometimes will respond to. It's a group of girls that all live in New Zealand together, but they all live apart enough that they don't get to see each other every day or they don't get to see each other very often at all. And he'll randomly like chat in that group. But it's really cool because he can go in there and see how everyone's chatting with each other and how they're talking about how their day went that day or how their schoolwork is going or whatever. They legitimately have these like micro groups of people that have real friendships online with each other, like you would have at high school, which I think is so great because high school can be such an alienating time. Even college can be such an alienating time if you don't fit in with a group. And I think the internet is a great place to feel like you fit in with a group and feel like your feelings or your lack thereof are validated. Like you can be whoever you want to be on the internet and you can find someone exactly like you on the other
Yeah.
side of the world. Like I think that is so amazing. I love that.
I, dude, I love it so much. I mean, I think that no matter what phase of your life you're in, college, high school, 20 is
Oh yeah.
30s probably. I can't speak for that. 40s, I'm sure you can feel isolated wherever you are in life. I know for me, actually, college was the time that I felt most in community because you're all kind of living together and that's just kind of the
You're all
way that it,
stressed out and
yeah, and you're all
yeah.
kind of like around each other. So I felt
Yeah.
like all my friends were next to me. This is amazing. This is great. I want to stay like this forever. And then I graduated and I had all these great friends. And then now they live all over the country and, have different lives and are in different phases of their lives. And I think, that phase of life can be super isolating as well. And I think, yeah, I mean, my point is that regardless of what phase you are in life, I think having sharing authentically on the internet is such an effective tool for, like you said, meeting people that are similar to you in other areas, but then also, it makes staying in touch, it sounds so silly and almost cliche, but it makes it a little bit easier when you're sharing your life publicly on Snapchat or online because then you don't have to like do this huge catch up when you see each other and be like, well, this is what I've been doing, blah, blah, blah. They can be like, oh yeah, I saw your Snap and I saw your Insta. Cool. Like, let's just pick up where we left off, you know?
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with you. And like that's something that I feel is so great. And I think like the Facebook era really started that. That was like the time when you could be like, "Hey friend that I haven't seen you in 10 years that now lives in Israel. How are you doing? Hope
Yeah.
it's good for you." And I love that. And I think that's great. And I think it's great for people who feel very lonely and isolated. And like you said, even 30s and 40s I think there's a place on the internet for everyone. I follow this. If you don't follow this, you need to follow this. I'm giving
Ooh,
you an
I'm
update. I know.
excited.
I know. It's great. So, Reddit is normally not my favorite website because it's got a very, like, I don't know. It's just got a feel to it that is very, like, masculine. And it's not very inviting a lot of times. But I found this safe haven on Reddit that's called
Mm.
r slash troll X chromosomes, right?
Ooh,
Which sounds
okay.
like, yeah, this sounds like a crazy code, but it's really not. And when you go on there, it's a forum that's all 20s, 30s, 40s women talking about like problems that they're having
Cool.
or like celebrating something they did that week or talking about like this amazing meal they made that night. Like it's all such fun things and it's all coming from a very like liberal, open-minded perspective where you could say anything on there and someone will have like a feeling that
Oh,
is
cool.
true.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm gonna make so many friends.
I know. I'll shoot you like a link to it so you get it.
Okay, yeah. I was like trying to figure it out right now and I was like, oh my God, where do I even go?
Oh no, no, no. I'll shoot it to you because it's the best, but it's great.
Yay. How did
And
you even find that?
well, it was because I used to go on Reddit a lot when I had like my last boyfriend that I was dating was very like he was like a real bro. And so I spent a lot of my time kind of emulating what he liked and like what he was all about. And so I spent a lot of time on websites that were very like men's rights and things like that. And Reddit was one of those types of websites. And I fell in love with the format of it because it's got a lot of really great viral content. But it also can be like kind of 4chan-y, which means it can be a little bit like deep side of the internet that you don't really want to see. So I went on Reddit and like my main goal on Reddit was just to find things that I liked. And I was looking through a post and someone was talking about how like they say the most disgusting things on Troll X chromosomes, but it's like the best as well. It'll be things like, without being too TMI, it'll be like, oh, I just accidentally left a tampon in for like 64 hours. Am I going to die? Like,
Toxic shock.
yeah, exactly. Like things like that. And then everyone's debating in the comments to see if this person is going to die or what they should do to get help or whatever. It's just like a place where everyone can come together.
Yeah, and you can just like put it all out there.
Yep. And it's all anonymous. You're like hiding behind a username, but not in a negative way. So it's just, it's great. And like, and that was one of the first posts I saw. And then another one was like, something like, I've worn the same underwear for the past 2 weeks and I completely forgot. And I was like, sometimes it gets bad. Sometimes it gets
laundry.
Yep, it does. And that's terrible. Or there's one of my favorite things on there that I've upvoted a million times was this girl talking about how she was having a rant about how she didn't want to do laundry anymore. And she was like, I'm just going to buy cheap underwear online for the rest of my life. That's all I'm doing. Every time underwear gets dirty, it's getting thrown away and I'm buying new underwear.
Oh my gosh. It's so environmental.
I know, it's terrible. But I was like, you know what? She rage quit that day. She quit the system. And I was like, you know what? Okay, you do your thing, girl.
I mean, I get it. I had a pile of I feel so good right now because I just got it done, but I had a pile of laundry this weekend that was like bigger than me, and I felt the same way. I was like, I'm just gonna buy underwear.
Oh, yep, I totally feel you. No, I'm doing that kind of right now. I bought a bunch of furniture online, and I'm actually glad that my doorbell hasn't rung yet during this podcast because it could very easily do that.
That's okay. We can take an intermission.
There you go. But no, I have, I wish I could show you. I'll paint you a visual though. I have probably a 4x4 cardboard box that is overflowing with construction paper. I have like 3 unmade chairs and like a very, very convoluted looking bookcase that I need to all build tonight. So I am about to go full out takeout.
IKEA.
No, actually Urban Outfitters online.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I just ordered. I just moved to a new apartment. I just ordered a bunch of stuff from Urban Outfitters apartment too.
Okay, we might have the same furniture. I'm sorry.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll have to take pictures and compare.
Yeah, I just got a new. My bedspread from them did come today, actually.
Oh, looky there!
I know.
They're not too bad about that kind of stuff.
I know, it's super cool. I'll send you a picture. It's super cozy.
I love this. Already bonding.
I know. This is amazing. So, okay, back to my question. So, I think we covered YouTube. I'm sure people have lots of questions about that. The other thing I want to ask you about, and this is perfect of what we were talking about meeting people online and through the internet. So, your boyfriend, Will, who I also love, who's amazing. Love his videos. He's so great, but I'm really obsessed with the two of you together. It's like magic. You guys are just so cute. You seem like you have a really healthy, good relationship, and you just seem really good for each other. So I want to know, how did you guys meet? And did you meet through YouTube?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, we're doing long distance right now. He's gonna be gone, and well, he's coming back tomorrow, and I'm so excited to see
He's
him.
in London, right?
Yes, yes. So Will Derbyshire, he's my boyfriend. He lives in London, and
Subscribe.
subscribe. He's the cutest thing ever, honestly. Anyone watching, like if you just want like a little bit of eye candy, just go watch one of his videos because he's great.
He's
But
adorable, and his videos are so good and artsy, and
oh,
Arden's in a lot of them, and
I am, and it's great. But
yeah, you guys are so cute. I need I need more. I hate to
oh.
be one of your like millions of subscribers telling you this, but I just need like more of you two together. Like it's so cute. I just smile the whole time.
Oh, don't worry. We'll make a video when we get home.
Oh,
We'll
thank
dedicate
God.
it to you.
Oh, yes.
Thank God. Oh.
Amazing.
But no, so we met. It was kind of a weird situation. I had just ended it with my last boyfriend, and it ended on like weird terms, and so I was kind of broken up about it. And about 2 or 3 weeks after the fact, Will starts kind of like posting things to my pictures and being like, "Hey, how you doing? Beautiful." And like like very stereotypically in my head, like very stereotypically like internet man to do, but not in like a derogatory way. It was always like very sweet and very respectful, but he would be like, "You look beautiful today," and like very sweet.
Aww.
Yeah, and
He
but
would.
right, he would. And now that I know him, I'm like, oh, yes, of course you did. But we were supposed to go on our first date, and like, I don't think our audience knows this actually. So once again, exclusive.
Exclusive to the Wellness Wonderland. They're
Yeah.
gonna die.
No, but he asked me out on a date, like, probably a month after I had broken up with my last boyfriend, and I had said yes, and about 2 hours before the date, I was in the shower and I like could not handle the idea of going out with someone else because I still felt very connected to my last relationship.
Yeah.
And so I just started crying and like I texted him and I was like, "I'm so sorry, I can't come anymore." It turns out that he had been sitting at that coffee shop for the last like hour and a half because he was so like nervous about it and wanted to feel comfortable. And I didn't know about this until we started dating because he didn't even tell me until we like went probably on our 10th date. And yeah, so I canceled on him and he was like, "Oh, it's no biggie, it's fine." And yeah, it was this whole big thing where we kept missing each other. So then he texted me because I gave him my number and he texted me and I thought he was another Will that I knew from home.
Oh my gosh.
So I just kept pushing him away on accident.
Because you
And
thought he was this other guy?
yeah, well, I thought he was another guy, and then I had never watched any of his content before. I had never watched him. I had never heard of him before. And so when I just saw a random dude talking to me on the internet, like a random English dude talking to me on the internet, I was like, I don't know who this is. And like me being just raised at the peak of like internet safety, stranger danger, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to go out with you. And
How
then
did he find you? Did he just like found your videos? Like has that come to the surface yet?
yeah, yeah, well he was we were both like well known-ish in the space at the time. And I knew about him because a couple of my friends were friends with him, and he knew about me because I lived in a house with three other girls that were all very like prevalent internet people.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so we all kind of knew of each other, just like you would with like any social
Community.
circle. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Got
it
it.
was
Okay,
it was
that makes sense.
yeah, but
So
I
he
didn't.
wasn't like on the prowl
No,
Googling.
no, it wasn't like creepy man, like stalker.
Gotcha.
Um, and then I was talking to my friend Rebecca, and I was like, yeah, so this guy Will Derbyshire, I think I called him Derbyshire at the time, which is so embarrassing now. But I was like, Will Derbyshire keeps messaging me, and I don't know who he is, and I don't know if he's cool. And she was like, marry him. Like
Oh,
you two would be so perfect together. Like you guys need
yes.
to go on a date. Yeah, she was like, you
That's
have to
exactly
go on a
what I would
date.
have said.
Yeah, and I had no idea because I'd never watched him. And so I was like, okay, weird that she would say that because she knows how weird I am about people and how picky I am. So I'm gonna go watch his videos and just see how it was. The first video that comes up of his is a letter to my future wife.
Oh.
If you've never seen it before, it will make you cry. And so I was like, who is this? Who the hell is this dude? So I'm like on his case. I'm like looking him up. I'm like asking my friends about him. I'm like, who is this guy? And like we are such internet people because we started Snapchatting over Christmas. And that's how we started our relationship. Like we knew each other for probably a month from Snapchat and Twitter DMs and playing like app games together. So we kind of like learned about each other through all these different creative internet outlets.
Again, thank you, internet.
Yeah, thank you, internet, because do you really think that your soulmate out of 7 billion people in the world is like next to your house? Probably not. Check
Yeah.
the internet. So it ended up being this really
Oh,
lucky,
that's like such a great ad for online dating.
isn't it? I don't know why
Yeah.
someone hasn't used that. We should
This is
coin
not sponsored, but
that.
feel
No,
free, match or whatever.
but other fish in the sea, you
Yeah.
can use our slogan. So no, we need to patent that. But fortunately, I had just hit 1 million subscribers right around this time, which was awesome. And I decided that,
Congrats, amazing.
oh, thank you. So I was like, I'm gonna go on a trip because I've always wanted to go to London, and now I have a major excuse. There's
Yeah.
way there. Yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna go on this trip and I'm gonna make him fall in love with me and I
So
will
that was
catch.
the first time you guys met. You actually like went there.
Yeah, oh yeah, I was so committed. And like I'm very like impulsive and I love doing things randomly and I like, changing up my schedule and very like all over the place in that way. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. And fortunately, about 3 months earlier, I had made like a a pact with my friend Kat that I would go travel with her. And that was how we were going to fulfill that pact. We were going to travel together in January. So I was like, perfect. This is great. I have someone to share an Airbnb with me. If he ends up being creepy, this will
Yeah.
all be safe. This is good. This is great. So we went on our first date and he was like ridiculously tall and like his hair looked great. Like the one thing that stood out to me on my first date with him was that London is like confusing and hectic, right? So there's like traffic everywhere and like I don't know the right way to walk because the streets are confusing and everything's backwards. So when we were walking across the street one time, I was like heading to go cross the street and he like grabbed me from my back and was like, "No, no, no, don't go yet." Like protectively trying to keep me from getting
Aw.
hit by a bunch of cars. And I immediately was like, this is a dude that I'm spending the rest of my life with. Done.
Oh my gosh, I'm like tearing up right now. This is so
No,
amazing.
no, he's such a sweetheart though. Like I can't say enough good things about him, and maybe that's because I miss him. But either way, yeah. So that's how we met. That's how we like did our thing, and like he just makes me fall in love with him constantly because he is just so understanding. He was like primarily raised by his mom, so he really understands like female
Oh, the
emotions. And,
best.
oh, right. Oh God, gushing. Anyways, so that's that. That's how that all happened.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I'm sure I know that he has like a million more amazing things to say about you. We'll have to have him on the podcast and you guys together and he can give you us the other side of that conversation.
Oh, that would make me so happy. He's so sweet. Well,
I love that. You guys
thanks
are
for
such a
giving me the
good
outfit.
Yeah, you guys are such a good positive example for me and the other Rosebuds and Will's subscribers. So many
Yeah.
people. I think it's so important to have these really good examples of healthy relationships of people who genuinely magically love each other like that because I
Aw.
don't I don't know of that many people, and I think it's really good to have that in your mind to be able to manifest that for yourself. So
Aw,
I
well,
just
you're
think it's
so
great.
sweet.
No, I
Yeah,
mean it. I think it's really great.
thanks.
So, and I love that you guys are both YouTubers and get to collaborate together, and that must be really fun. Do you guys find yourself talking about the craft and YouTube a lot? Do you kind of have to, not that you work together directly, but do you have to kind of shut that off so you can just have like, love time, or does it just kind of naturally ebb and flow?
Yeah, I would say probably it's more of an ebb and flow because the weird thing about what we do is that a lot of it is supposed to be artistic and very creative. And so having someone next to you that kind of can understand that, it's really great to have someone to bounce off of. I think you're right. Sometimes you do have to learn to turn it off when it becomes super worky and very not fun. So I tend to be I'm very hard-headed about when I want to work and like when I want to feel like I'm being really productive. And he's more of like a feeler and he likes to kind of get in the mood to work. And he went to film school, so he did a really rigorous course for 2 years that like kicked his butt. And so he's very much so like, now I get my time to relax and figure out what my, what
Niche.
my, yeah, what my niche is and like how I feel about film and, whatever his creative process is. He's very lax about it, which is great. And his work is like so much better than mine. So it doesn't even like, I need to be doing what he's doing. But no, I think it helps to have something that we can connect with. And like, it's not one of those things where we come home at the end of the night and we're like, oh, honey, my day. And this is like, oh, you wouldn't believe. And like, we don't relate to each other. Of course we relate to each other because we're having the exact same issues regardless of what we're working on. Because not only do we work in YouTube and in like kind of the film industry, we also work in the entertainment industry, which can be super stressful.
Right.
So, the entire thing, it's nice to have someone in your side of the court at all times. But I think it can also be incredibly stressful if you're working together on certain things. Like we have a lookbook that we shot together that's going to go up on my channel.
Ooh,
That
yay.
yeah, which is going to be beautiful because he did it, and so it's amazing. Um, and it was stressful because I know him so well that when we were in certain situations where we were filming together, I was like, this is going to make him so uncomfortable because he hates crowds, he hates like being out in public for too long because he's a very introverted person. And we were having to be in like a lot of very crowded areas and stuff. So the fact that I know him so well, it was like this makes an awkward work dynamic because I don't want to put him through the pain of doing all of this, and I know we won't get something good out of it because it's not a conducive environment for him working wise. So it's things like that where you're like, okay, I know this person too well to work too closely with them. I guess if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Especially, it actually hit me hard. Like I realized, in the last relationship that I was in, it was the same thing. I'm an extrovert, and being with someone who's very introverted, and not wanting to put them in that situation, but also sometimes not realizing that you did, because to you and to me, like it's not a big deal because we're like cool with that and even enjoy
Yeah.
that. And so, really, like, I'm just in awe of you at like such a young age, having that awareness of like, personality types and understanding, like, oh, I'm making this person feel this way, and just being self-aware. But then that's one thing, but then being aware of the person that you're with and knowing him well enough, that's really fantastic and a good sign for your relationship.
Oh, thanks. Well, I don't know. Do you like the Myers-Briggs system? Do you like it? Do you know your personality type?
Yeah, I think I'm an ENFP. I haven't done it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we're so close. Look at us. You're like the way better version of me because you feel something. So that's good. Not that I don't have feelings.
Probably too much. Yeah.
No, no, it's a good thing. It means you're extroverted and you can relate to other people, which is amazing. Um, but I follow that really closely because even if it's just pseudoscience and it's something
Hmm.
that, I don't look at it as something that's kind of like an astrology. I look at it as something that's relatively sound in the sense that
Yeah.
like even from personal experience, when I know someone's personality type, the moment I nail it down and I figure it out and then I look up their description, I'm like, of course this person is like that. And I really like it because I can look at my downsides and I can look at what I'm doing wrong in relationships and I can fix that. And it's the same thing with Will. Like, I think that's what's really helped us is we actually, if you look at our first chats that we had on Twitter, he he had tweeted about how he was I think he's an INFJ. INFJ? I think he is, maybe. Which means that he is nearly polar opposite to me and technically my perfect match. So,
Aw.
yeah, so it's cute. So I went on there and I messaged him and I was like, INFJ or whatever he is. I see. And he was like, indeed, what are you? And I was like, I'm an ENTP. And he was like, interesting. So
Aw.
we had this whole dialogue where it's like, and even now, like when we have arguments or something, I know that sometimes I can be a devil's advocate and I can make someone feel like they don't have someone on their side. So I make sure to be really conscious of that. Like if we get in an argument and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm giving like the same thing. If he came home and was like, "Oh, work sucks today," my first instinct would be like, "Well, why does it suck? Did you do something wrong? Did the other
Yeah,
person do
me
something
too.
wrong?"
Yeah.
Like I'm way too inquisitive when I shouldn't be. So, and sometimes you just need someone to pat you on the back, and I have so much trouble being like that because I just want to know
Same.
more.
And I want
Yeah.
to fix it, and I want to talk about it, and I want to like,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yep. Which is funny because that's actually a lot of times that's what guys complain about when they're in a relationship with a girl who just wants someone to verify that they're okay.
Yeah.
Like some people just want affirmation that everything's okay and that you have a reason to be upset and that whole thing. And like sometimes I just don't get that and I'm really bad about it. But knowing these things about myself and knowing this because I've looked this up and now I know what my personality type is, I can kind of combat that by being very self-aware when those kind of situations are going on. And he is as well. Like if something's going on and I'm being very antagonistic without realizing it, because I'm also a huge arguer without realizing it. Like I don't think I'm being antagonistic and I don't think I'm being mean. And then I started a huge argument and I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
So he'll be really quick to be like, I know you don't mean to be mean when you say that, but you are. Like this is how you say it and this is how I am interpreting it. And I think that's great. Like the fact that we're able to kind of go through those motions together makes it so much easier when you have an argument.
Yeah, I had almost a similar exact conversation, and it's like all coming back right now in a relationship. And my mom like works in HR and like had me do like the children's version of the personality test when I was younger, and like it's just like kind of always been in the back of my mind, but I didn't really think about it as much in relationships as I wished that I would have, and I will moving forward, because like you're saying right now, and we can be an advertisement for this too basically. Woo! But it's such like super important information in relationships, and I don't think it's to say like like using it as a crutch. I think it's just information about yourself is so important, and then information about another person. And I love the fact that that was the first conversation, one of the first conversations that you guys ever had. You went into your relationship knowing your personality types. I think I'm gonna like next time I meet someone and dating, I'm gonna be like, please take this test and then see me after. Like
we'll talk. You'll send me my results.
Then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Just so I know.
Yeah, no, I think that we should definitely make a dating app or a website that uses Rigs. And we would have our own slogan. We've already got it figured out.
Yes, done.
We got
Trademark that.
I'm telling you.
Gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and you and Will can be the poster couple of this. We already have the Yeah, and then I'll like be the tester and I'll like use it and then find someone and then it's perfect. Done.
Oh my gosh, we've got this all figured out. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, amazing.
Let's go make some money. Let's do it.
I know, seriously.
Yeah, that would be amazing though. I really don't know why that's not a thing.
I know, it really should be. And like you're saying, with your soulmate might be across the world, so we need the dating app to utilize the internet better, and then to find people personality wise. Yeah, we're really onto something. Yeah, we should look this up. How is there not a personality type? There might be. This probably exists that we just don't even know about. And if it does, I'm signing up tonight.
Oh yeah, no, I would be so tempted to sign up if it was like a best friend hookup. Like if you knew someone that was an opposite personality type to you in your area that wanted to go for coffee and hang out.
Yeah. Okay.
Down.
Okay, I'm like really into this right now. I feel like we should literally make this if it doesn't exist, and it should have, should be able to find, because that's another thing, as you get older too and feel isolated, again, why I love the internet, and like I'm getting to meet you right now and it's really great, and I've gotten to meet so many cool people through the pod, but like, making friends as someone in their 20s is way more challenging, and I think having dating apps for making friends as adults would be really great. So you could find someone romantically or just a friendship, and you have to take your personality test to be in there. Okay, we're really onto something. We need. I
love this. No, because I think adult isolation is a huge issue, especially now. Because like you were saying, so many people are moving across the country, and like even though it's easier to catch up with people, sometimes it can be harder because you don't relate to that person anymore. They're not in your life anymore. They're outside of your sphere, and you need to find someone similar in your sphere. So yeah, there should be like a friendship dating website. But I think there's such a stigma against that for some reason. Like it would make you seem like a loser, which I think is dumb. But you know what I mean?
And if it doesn't make you feel like a loser dating, it shouldn't, friendship wise.
No. And I wonder why that's a thing. I mean, there was a stigma when
destigmatize it.
Yes, because I remember there being a stigma about meeting someone
And
online.
I still think there
A
kind
couple
of
of years ago.
is, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's,
absolutely. I mean, if someone says they met their boyfriend on Tinder, I'm automatically kind of like, huh,
yeah, same.
interesting. And it's not because I'm trying to be derogatory or make, light of a relationship. It's just weird to me because I never, but then I met my boyfriend online, so I can't say anything.
Yeah, in a
Even,
different way, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't,
Yeah. I mean, it's like what we were talking about before. I think as human beings, we're meant to live in community, in,
yeah.
having. I've said this in other podcasts, but I, like, my happiest time was when I studied abroad and I was with, like, the same 10, 11 people. And it was just like, it was like Friends, the TV show. You, like, always knew who you were going to hang out with. It wasn't like, oh, it's Friday. Who am I going to hang out with tonight? It was like,
Mhm.
I have this group and that's who I have and done. And I think yeah, maybe it's like we have so many options of who we could hang out with, and we all just want, a community of our own, a community where we feel seen, where we feel heard, where we feel safe enough to express ourselves and be ourselves exactly as we are with like no makeup and I have a zit, but you
Mhm.
love me anyways, and
Mhm.
all of that.
No. Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. And I think that's something that's like huge. And it's something I learned just from, later on in life, just being a little bit more educated. You're right. Like people crave company. Even if you're an introvert, you crave a community and a place where you feel like sheltered and also
Heard.
empowered and heard. And I think that's really hard as well in our modern world because like even me right now in LA, I have my own apartment and all my friends are scattered throughout the city. And the way that I see them is if I make effort or they make effort. There's not an effortless community living anymore. You
Mm-hmm.
have to like make sure to keep your friends close and you have to make sure to be active in this kind of like crazy world we live in now where even though you can message someone immediately and get a response, it's not the closeness that you crave, which is like personal companionship, which is why
Yeah.
yeah, and I struggle with that. And that's something that I'm so bad about because even though I'm an extrovert, I had a lot of trouble making friends in high school. Like I was everyone's like not what would that be called? I was
Acquaintance.
yeah, I was everyone's acquaintance and I was everyone's like friend from afar. Like if you asked me to help you with something, I would totally be there for you. But I would never invite you to spend the night at my house or I would never invite you to like go to dinner with me because I just didn't I was really bad about making close friends. And like even now I'm pretty bad about that. I have like 3 or 4 close friends and even though I'm a raging extrovert, those are the only people I want to hang out with.
Yeah.
And it's like a weird thing now where like it's even harder now online because you can meet someone online, but they might be in like, Italy and they're your close friend in Italy, but you can't really feel that
Right.
true companionship. It's weird. I don't know what
Well,
to
it's
combat that with.
yeah, I mean, I think the virtual thing, it's not real. Like as
No.
real as like I feel like we could for sure be friends, but like we're not. It's different. And you probably feel this a little bit, when you're away from Will right now even. It's like yes, you're still connecting and talking, but you also need those people in your life that you can like snuggle and like
Mhm.
can bring you soup when you're sick. And I think we need that. We crave that like physical in the flesh people around you that you can like go to dinner with and cook with and watch TV with, and it can just be like not a planned time to see each other.
Yeah,
Those like in between moments seeing each
yeah,
other I think is
absolutely.
important.
Yeah,
That's
and
why
I
roommates are so great.
right? And like I had roommates and it was fantastic, but also like struggles because 4 girls living in a house together can get very like crazy real.
Yeah.
But I think something that's like I've really learned just being in a long distance relationship, and I've had a long distance relationship in the past, so this is something that I've kind of had to figure out over time, is that you lose so much over a camera or like over like the phone. Like just even social cues that you would pick up on in person, they just get lost over a feed. Like even when like my friends are really far away, like one of my close friends, Andrea, whenever she's out of town, it's like she has disappeared as a person. Even if she's texted me, even if we've like been keeping updated, until we sit down in person and have like a full fledged chat and like takeout meal together.
Mm-hmm.
Until that happens, we have not reconnected. And it's like this
Yeah.
really weird thing. But I think in a way it's in for me at least, I love the way I live my life because I get to see everyone I want to see so rarely that it becomes like this exciting thing for me. Like I look forward to seeing every single one of my friends when I can. And I think that's really, really great. But maybe I'm the only one that feels like that. Maybe that's just me liking isolation sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm like, I don't know. I used to like say as a joke, I was like, "Oh, I'm
An
not an
extrovert,
extrovert."
extrovert.
Yeah, or like I would always say like I'm an introvert with ADD, but like I'm not. I'm an extrovert, but I just feel like I need to get my energy from being around other people. Yes, but then if it's too much, then I need to like have some serious alone time and get my energy that way. And I think we all are kind of both, if that
Oh
makes
yeah.
sense. You know, I
Yeah.
think we have so much. Yeah, I don't know. We're both.
Yeah, no, no, no. I agree with you. I think so many things, nothing's black and white, first of all, but I
Yeah.
think everything's on a sliding scale. So like even when I took the Myers-Briggs test, it touted me as like full-blown extrovert, but I shared introverted qualities. And you probably were the same way, where it's like I love being out and about, but I also could sit at home and read for 6 hours. Like
Yeah.
it's not there's not like any kind of because there are some extroverts that are so party, 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 love going out, love seeing people, love da
Nope.
da da,
I'm the
don't like being
opposite.
alone. And I just don't feel that way. And I'm sure you don't feel like that either. So it's
Nope.
just no. And so it's really it's just telling that there's no system that can perfectly nail you down.
Yeah.
So it's nice. It's freeing because you're like, I don't have to be one thing. I can be like really extroverted, but I can also enjoy hanging out at home. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's such a nice feeling.
Yeah. So good. This has been amazing. I can't believe we've already been talking for an hour. I still want to ask you the questions I ask everyone that comes on the show. I could talk to you forever. We'll have to do this again. Um, but one thing that we talk about a lot on this podcast, and I mentioned a little bit as this was my biggest struggle, but we talk a lot about body image. And so I want to know from you, you know, as a public figure and as someone who lives in LA, you know, have you ever struggled with body image? And the people that look up to you, how is that something that you know, think about when being a mom for all of these people? Do you is that something that you think about or have struggled with, and what's your experience with that?
Oh, absolutely. I think I say this so honestly. I think that every single female and
Me
a
too.
lot of men
Yeah.
also struggle with feeling lesser from their appearance alone, which I think is really sad. And I think it's even worse for women because we are judged so harshly on our appearance, not just by men, but also by ourselves and by our peers as women. Like we are very, without even realizing it, and I think this is changing, but I think we are very innately okay with taking down another woman based on her appearance. And I hate that. And I don't think it's true of me anymore. But I remember when I was younger, I would be cold blooded and I hated that about myself. And it's terrible. And I feel like it's really prevalent online. And even though there's tons of body positive messages like yours, and I'm so proud of yours, but I think it's so prevalent to see a lot of online bullying talking about weight
Yeah.
and appearance and not looking a certain way like you should. And I think that's changing once again because we're moving towards a culture that's probably going to be an amalgamation of everyone ultimately, which is great. But I definitely struggled with it. I struggled with it in high school. Like I said earlier, I definitely struggled with eating and I would restrict calories and I was really terrible about that. And that gave me self-worth and control, which I know is a lot of what an eating disorder is. It's either feeling in control or out of control, depending on what your eating disorder is.
Yeah.
And mine was feeling in control. So if everything else was going crazy outside of my life, I could still eat like 3 apples a day, and that was perfect and wonderful, and that was it. And I struggle with it even now. Like I try to eat really healthy, and to be completely honest, the reason why I eat really healthy is because I can control it. I can control my consumption. I can do whatever. And as I've grown up, I've learned healthy ways to do that, which I think is the most important thing is if you are going to be someone, if you're like me or like someone who has a tendency towards compulsion or a feeling of needing to be in control, it's really important to recognize that problem and then turn it around as a positive. So instead
Mm.
of taking something and saying, I'm just going to eat 3 bags of lettuce today and that's going to be perfect and wonderful and great. Instead of doing that, you say, I'm going to eat 3 solid meals today that are perfectly balanced and I can make that perfect. And I can do that so well that I will be so satisfied with myself at the end of the day that I can't feel bad. And like that helps me. And even though it's still compulsive and it's not great and it's like a learning experience, that
Mhm.
helps me. Because I know even if I'm not starving myself, I can eat really healthy, hearty meals because I'm educated now and I know what I should and shouldn't be eating. So if I can do that daily and it helps me and I'm still fit and healthy and I'm not starving myself, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's kind of the realm that I'm in now because I have struggled with binging and I've struggled with not eating enough. And now I've
Yeah.
found like a good middle ground where I feel healthy and I feel energized and I don't feel bogged down or lethargic.
That's amazing. And I think, the next step, not next step up from that, but just something to remember with that is, that's great if you on those days when your meals are balanced and you do feel awesome and you do feel amazing. And then, life happens when, you're like with Will and out and you eat a little bit more than you would normally, or
Oh
it's a
yeah.
holiday or whatever, and then I see you doing this and like you don't judge yourself and you're still happy and you still like yourself are not you, but as women, like our self-worth isn't attached to it. I think that's like the
No, not at
that's
all.
the amazing piece to get to, and that's what I'm working on and working towards, and has been like a huge shift in my life, is just not attaching our self-worth to not only just our bodies or our weight or how our clothes are fitting, but then also, for us as compulsive people, how we're doing with food and how we're doing with what we ate that day, and not allowing ourselves to judge ourselves for any of it.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with you. And I think that's why my favorite phrase in the world is a cheat day because I think it's great. But I think actually I take that back. I think cheat day is a bad way to describe it
Yeah.
because I think it should be a treat yourself day, like
Yeah.
very Parks and Recy. Like you do your thing, lady. Like Will and I, like when he comes home tomorrow, I'm gonna go to Ralph's. I'm gonna go to the grocery store and I'm gonna buy like probably the equivalent of 5 pounds of sour candy because that's what we binge on. Like we love sour candy. We love sitting
Aw.
and watching Bob's Burgers or like some cartoon and just eating sour candy. That's what we always do together.
What's your favorite sour candy?
Oh man, that is so hard. I love Rip Rolls.
I don't even know what that is. What
Oh
is
my
that?
God, go get them. They're watermelon flavored and they're basically like sour strips, but they're rolled up.
Oh,
So
I think I've seen those. They're like
yeah,
green and yellow. I
uh-huh.
mean, green and pink.
Yeah, there's some that are green and pink. There's some they're like all different colors, but you can normally get like a really fun version from like Dylan's Candy or like It's Sugar or one of those places. I've gone
Yeah.
to so many of those. This is embarrassing how well I know this candy. But either way, like that kind of thing, it's not I don't go out buying that and think like, "Ugh, tomorrow I'm going to have to make sure I'm eating really well because this is something that I need to feel guilty about." No, it's like I have been doing so well. I've been very healthy this week. I feel great about how I am. I deserve to treat myself and I deserve to like not give a crap today. Like I think it's one of the biggest things is just to give yourself a break. Like why do you have to be so stressed out about this thing all the time? Just give
Yeah.
yourself a break. It doesn't need to be this big headache constantly. And I think that's my
Exactly.
problem. That was one of my biggest problems when I was like really anorexic was that I just felt guilt over
Yeah.
everything. And I just don't think that's any way to live your life is in guilt because guilt sucks.
And it's the most unhealthy thing for you. It's actually worse for you than anything that you could potentially eat. So it's, yeah, guilting us just hold us back and is way
Yeah.
more unhealthy
It's
than
terrible.
anything.
It's stress as well. Just
Yeah.
stressing over something that's so dumb is
Yeah.
that's so self-destructive. And when you just should
Exactly.
be just enjoying yourself and like just eat the pizza. Eat it just
Yes.
once. Eat
Preach.
pizza. That's all I'm
Preach.
saying. I actually might do that right after I get off the phone.
Yeah.
I
I'm
know I
getting
need
a
to
little
put
hungry
together
too.
furniture, so I'm gonna order a Domino's pizza. Don't you?
Amazing.
I know.
Um, yeah, there's this great, it was a blog post I read recently. I'll have to send it to you, but she was said in this article, or I don't even remember what it was, but I'll find it. She was saying, those extra 5 pounds that you just can't lose, or whatever, the 5 pounds that you want to lose are, the extra slice of cake on your birthday, and eating candy with your boyfriend, or that holiday dinner that your mom makes that you love so much. Like, why would you want to get rid of those extra 5 pounds? Those are those like really amazing, beautiful experiences in your life. And I just, that
Yeah.
really hit me hard, and I was like, oh, I really love that.
Yeah, well, even when I'm having like down days where I'm feeling a little bit insecure and I'm clearly limiting myself, Will be like, "Why are you trying to keep yourself from something that makes you happy?" Like, not just that food needs to be something that makes you happy, but food is a social experience that you
Yeah.
share with other people. It shouldn't feel like this thing that's obligatory, and it shouldn't feel like this thing that is only fueling your body, because anyone who tells you that food is exclusively fuel is deluded if you look at the
Yeah.
psychology behind food. Like it doesn't,
Yes.
like you said, it's like that Christmas dinner, like even over Christmas. It's like of course you gain Christmas pounds because you are sharing so much with your family and they are sharing stuff with you too. And in that, there's also conversation pieces, which are the ham that you ate that night or the
Right.
pie that you're about to have leftovers of. Like there's nothing wrong with allowing yourself to be part of a human experience that everyone shares. It's so inundated in our culture. And that's why it makes me really mad when I hear about people shaming people for eating certain things occasionally. I'll see it on my Instagram sometimes. If I post something that's pretty caloric, they'll be like, that'll go straight to your thighs. And I'm like,
Mm.
who is telling me this? Why would you say that to another human being?
These trolls. Oh,
Yep.
man. And that's
Yep.
something that you have to unfortunately deal with because of the platform that you have, but I
Yeah.
think, people deal with it on different levels all the time, just from like looks of other people, or oh, you ordered that, you got this out, I should probably get, or just like
Oh,
silliness
oh yeah.
like that. And it's just we just all need to put less pressure on ourselves, but it's hard as women when there's one type of body shape that the media has deemed as beautiful, which
Yep.
unfortunately not unfortunately, it's amazing that body diversity exists. What's unfortunate is that the media has revered one type of body shape, and if you look in the past, what is beautiful isn't thinness. It is right now because we've made this standard of beauty include thinness because that's what's rare, that's what's difficult to attain, that's what costs money
Hmm.
to attain, when
Yep.
that's not necessarily true, and it's not necessarily what the only thing that is beautiful is. There's so many ways to find beauty in other things, but it's hard, it's hard. Like the aesthetic that I look to as beautiful is not the one that my body naturally wants to be at, and coming to terms with that and knowing that all bodies are beautiful, and really working on that is a practice and something that I'm doing actively all the time, but it's a
Yeah.
challenge.
No, and I completely agree with you. And I think that's something that's really hard with the internet age as well, where you can edit things and you can make yourself seem a certain way.
Yeah.
And I know there was a big controversy when an Instagram model came out saying that a lot of her photos were faked and everything was
Oh
kind of
yeah.
this fakeness. And although her story is not my favorite story because there were a lot of like kind of sketchy things that happened in the aftermath of it. But I think her overall message of like these people, like you've probably seen them, they're Instagram models who make a living off of, you know, making ads off of diet pills or detoxes. Like detoxes are so big in like the dieting world right now when they're really just like expectorants. They just make you like shit your brains out. So it's not good. But people are selling them, like big models are selling them, or like the Kardashians are selling them, when in reality they have money to have, plastic surgery and implants
Right.
and different things that can help you, and they can hire a personal trainer and they can work on their bodies, and they can do all these things that make an unattainable person just because they're privileged enough to do that, when a lot of people don't have that and they can't be that unattainable look because it's just not realistic. It's not realistic to anyone who's a regular person out there in the world.
Yeah,
And
and isn't able to outsource their body.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Or someone who doesn't want to like edit themselves, because there are
Right.
tons of everyone who does a photo shoot is edited. That's just true. Although I will say, Aerie, which is the only place that I get my underwear, actually, I literally just bought like 1,000
Oh
pairs.
yeah, me too. Like the American Eagle thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Aerie is so great,
They're
and they
so
do.
comfy.
They're amazing, but they have a
Oh
campaign.
yeah.
Yeah, that's entirely about body positivity. So even though they have very fit, beautiful models, like they're all gorgeous, none of them are edited. So you'll find
Mm,
people that have stretch marks on their thighs, which everyone does. You'll
yeah.
find people who have, a little bit of like acne on their face, which everyone struggles with at some time in their life. Things that make you feel better about yourself when they're wearing sexy lingerie and they're wearing underwear. And it's empowering in the sense that it's like, this is sexy. This person is sexy and she's unedited. She is what I
Real.
could be. Even
Yeah.
though she's probably 5'9" to 6 foot and like gorgeous, I can still be like her because someone is telling me that that's okay and that's a great thing to be. And I really appreciate that. I love that Ari did that.
Yeah, me too. And it goes back to, to wrap this up with a nice bow and bring it back to what we were talking about before. It's like, genuine, as silly as it sounds, but like genuine sells, And
Yep.
I think people want people to be genuine because they want to be able to relate to themselves. And, a supermodel who's retouched a million times and has a personal trainer and a chef and a beauty team and whatever is just, yes, that's beautiful, but it's not something that I can it
Mhm.
all have in my life tomorrow. So
Yep.
I rather look at the girl who I can see myself in. And I think that that's empowering, that's helpful, and it helps us feel better about ourselves, which makes us show up better in the world. And it's just better all around.
No, I completely agree with you. And I think that's a great note to end on. Be yourself, ladies.
Exactly.
That's the
Exactly.
truth. I
Totally.
think that's great. No, I think that's especially prevalent in our internet age, and I know we've talked about it a lot, but I think being yourself is becoming the new cool, and I love that.
Exactly. Can I ask you the quick fire questions real quick?
Do it. I will be so quick on them. Don't worry.
All right, you can. Some of them are longer, but you'll
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Okay.
You can give me like a TikTok noise if I'm going too
Okay. Take your time.
long.
Favorite color.
Red.
Favorite day of the week.
Ooh. I think I really like Thursdays.
Me too. That's what I always say because it's kind of like the Christmas Eve of the week, where you're like anticipation of the weekend.
Yes, I like anticipation more than it actually being here sometimes.
I know exactly.
Look at that.
Okay, this is a fun one. So you're trapped on an island, and you can bring with you one TV show season to binge watch, one
Oh
book,
God.
one person, one beauty item, and one food. Go.
Okay. Season. I would probably do the first season of Broad City because
Okay.
it's so good. Book. I would probably bring Alice in Wonderland because I think that would be a fun
Oh
one.
my gosh. You know
Yeah.
the name of my blog is The Wellness Wonderland.
Well, yeah.
I love that. Okay,
So
go
I
on.
didn't even do that on purpose. Person would have to be Will because, like, obviously I need to be satisfied on this island. So perfect. And then, what was my last one? Clothing item, makeup item.
Beauty item, yeah, or anything. I
Yeah.
guess it could be clothing.
Uh, you know what? We'll get really tan on the island. I'll bring my eyebrow gel.
Nice.
My eyebrows will always be on fleek on this island.
Amazing. What eyebrow gel do you use? Your eyebrows are on fleek.
Oh, thank you. No, Anastasia, which is like
Oh yeah.
everyone uses. Yeah, they do a tinted eyebrow gel that is amazing. And little known fact, regardless of what your hair color is, taupe, the color taupe, will always look good in anyone's
Taupe.
eyebrows.
Okay, I'm literally writing this down right now. I'm using the Benefit one, which is like not as good,
That one's
apparently.
okay, but I think Anastasia makes a really dope one.
Okay, I'm going to Sephora tomorrow. That's amazing.
Go pick it up.
And the other thing was food. Food to
Right. Oh God.
that
I
you're gonna
really
get
love.
sick of.
Oh God. I eat so much popcorn. Probably popcorn.
You and my mom. My mom loves popcorn.
Oh man. I just like something crunchy and savory.
Yeah, it
That's
is
it.
really good.
Hmm.
Um, okay, favorite or best part of your day? Like when you wake up, what are the things you do when you wake up, and what are the things that you do when you go to sleep, and how do those affect the rest of your day, and what part is your favorite? That's like a super long question. I rolled
No,
up three
I
into
get it.
one.
No, I absolutely get it though. My favorite part about waking up in the morning is I like the 30 minutes where I get to like get my tea, settle in, and then start working on whatever I'm working on. So I've been waking up really early lately because I'm jet lagged. So I woke up this morning at 6 a.m.
I've been watching that on Snapchat.
Yeah, it's been really fun. My latest video is about my jet lag, so there you go. And then so that's my favorite. I love like the prep, the like ritual that I have in the morning. And then at night, I like that same ritual. So even though it can be kind of annoying sometimes, now that I'm in a like a habit, and I know that it's like taking care of myself. I like taking the time to take off all my makeup and clean my face and put on my moisturizer and brush my teeth and do the whole 9 yards to kind of
Routine.
Yeah, I like just feeling set to go to bed. That's like my favorite. And then also just like sitting on my phone for like 3 hours before bed as well.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah,
What's your
yeah.
best beauty tip?
Ooh, my best beauty tip is to keep it simple. So, like, for me at least, every day, it's sometimes mascara, eyebrows, and then a BB cream, and then carry a powder with you. Keep it simple because, like, I don't know, it's too much hassle. And honestly, do you really care that much about what everyone around you thinks of your face?
Yeah,
Take the time
preach.
to
So
think of,
good.
honestly, like, do you really care? Because I
Okay,
don't.
can I ask you like a really dumb question that you're probably going to be like, "Oh my God, this girl."
No, yeah,
What
go
is
for it.
a BB cream exactly?
Oh, no, do not worry. I had such trouble with this. Okay, so a BB cream is I think this is what I've heard online, so this could be wrong. Originally, it was a Korean beauty product.
Okay.
So I'm not necessarily sure what that translation was. I'm not necessarily sure where that went, but I have heard it called a beauty balm. And
Oh.
what it's supposed to do is be basically a moisturizer with tint in it. So instead of
Oh.
it being, yeah, so instead of it being like a foundation where its primary purpose is to cover things, a BB cream generally has a lot lighter of a texture. It normally has a whitening effect, so it can clear up spots. It can kind of make your face have an even skin tone. And then it also has SPF in it, so it's supposed to protect your skin. And that's what originally BB creams were supposed to do. Now they've been kind of made this cool thing to have mainstream. So they've lost a lot of their original charm. But if you ever want a BB cream, get a Korean BB cream.
Korean. All right. That's something
Yes.
else that I learned from your OMFG podcast about. And then I found, have you ever tried the bubble mask?
The bubble mask.
Yeah, it's another Korean beauty product that I learned from one of my other favorite YouTubers. You know Cloudy Apples?
Yes.
She did a video about it. It's a Korean beauty product. I'll send you the video, but it literally bubbles. Like your face looks like the Michelin Man after.
What? Wait, no.
Yeah.
I've done one of these before. I had no
Really?
idea. Yeah, I had no idea what it was, and
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
like
I was.
carbonated.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for telling me what that was, because for so long I had this product and I wouldn't use it because I thought there was something wrong with it.
That's so
Oh
funny.
my
You thought it like
God.
expired or something?
Yeah, I had no idea what it was. I'm so glad you told me. See,
Yeah.
there's always something new to learn.
That's so funny. I wouldn't have known except that I watched her video. But yeah, it's so funny.
Oh my
It'd be really
goodness.
fun at like a sleepover with like young girls because you would all like laugh and I don't know. It would
Yeah.
be
Oh
funny.
no, absolutely. But I had
Hmm.
no idea. Oh my God, I'm so glad to know.
I
Okay.
know. So it's not
I need,
expired. You can use it.
okay, I need to pick that thing up again. Okay.
Yeah, you can do one while you're eating your pizza and arranging your
Yes.
furniture.
I'm so excited about that pizza. I can't even tell you.
I know. Okay, we gotta hurry this up to get to our pizza.
Sure.
Who are some of your favorite YouTubers?
Ooh, oh, tough. Okay, so obviously I love Will's channel.
Will.
But if you want really empowering, amazing women, Estee Lalonde, she is insane, and she is like my YouTube older sister. I love her,
Aw.
even though she's not even that old. Um, she's great. If you want to watch a really great fashion blogger, I'm Jen M, or just Jen M on YouTube. She does amazing fashion, and she's also very, very petite and like very small. So she's great for someone who doesn't necessarily have like a very universal body type, which is amazing. And then another person that I love, I think her name is Loie Lane. Yes, I just looked her up. It is. Loie Lane is fantastic. She does plus size fashion.
Oh, cool. How do you spell Jen? So Jen M, and then what's the other girl?
Right. So Jennim is just Jennim.
Okay, and
Like
then
I'm Jen. And then Loie
Loie.
Lane. Yeah. So it's LoeyLane. And she's on Instagram. She's on YouTube. She's on Twitter.
Amazing. I'm so
But
excited right now. I'm gonna like binge watch, and I'll put all these in the show notes, you guys.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely go check her out, especially. And she's great because she does try on hauls. She'll do bikini hauls where she tries things on, and she has no shame about her body. Not that she should at all,
Right.
but she just doesn't. She doesn't care. She breaks every stereotype. She is so confident and amazing. And if you've ever felt like unconfident in a plus size body, go watch her because she will make you feel like you are the hottest piece of ass ever.
Oh,
So,
that is so good. I say this often on the show, but really quick, that the only proven way to improve body image is actually exposure therapy. So literally looking at people your size or bigger. And even if when you start doing it, you're like, ugh, I don't want to look like that. Like that was how I felt when I started doing it. But,
mhm,
and hopefully they're idealized images, so not something that you think is really like ugly, like plus
mhm.
size models or plus size fashion bloggers or YouTubers who you admire and admire their lives as a whole. It's really important to just look at those and expose yourself to those because it's easier to find good and find beauty in other people than it is in yourself. And then the more you do it in other people, the easier it'll be to do in yourself. So yay, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. She's amazing. Also, she's like unreal. She's so gorgeous. So, yeah,
Cool.
definitely. If you want some positivity in your life, go check her out. And then, last but certainly not least, Rachel Whitehurst. She is fantastic, and she is great because she has a segment on her show called, I think it's called, this is going to sound crazy, but I think it's called Bi Curious. I'm not sure, but it's talking about how uh, she is breaking the stereotype of bisexuals. So she's like a
Cool.
bisexual woman living in Seattle with her boyfriend, and she has like a whole vlog about that. But then she also just covers a bunch of other feminine issues and like different things. Like she did a review on the Diva Cup, which is like my new favorite
Oh
men's.
yeah, you talked about her on
Oh,
your Snapchat.
Snapchat, yes, yeah. So she's fantastic and she's great and she's just like a sweetheart and she has such a good perspective and her cats are adorable. So go check her out.
Cool. I'm excited. Cool. All right, this is another fun one of our last ones. So you're having a dinner party and you can invite 5 people. Who do you invite? What do you make? What do you hope someone turns and asks you? And what do you really hope someone doesn't ask you that you just don't feel like talking about anymore?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So first of all, Tom Hardy has to be there. And like, I don't know if I want him next to me or to sit across from me so we can just let the tension lie because I love him and I don't need that in my life. So he would be across from me. And then I think I would probably have maybe my great grandmother on my left because I'd love to meet someone
Cool.
in my past, like, family tree. And then I'm trying to think of who would be like really cool people. I'm terrible at this kind of thing because I just don't really think of people as being that cool all the time.
That's okay. Don't think too hard about it. Just invite the first people that you think of.
Okay, I'm gonna say Emma Watson because I want to know what's up, and then I'm gonna say Emma Stone because I love her and I think she's fantastic. And then I don't know, maybe like my best friend from third grade because I'd love to see what she looks like now or who she is right now.
Oh yeah, very cool.
Um, yeah, someone fun like that. So that's five, isn't
It's a
it?
good crew. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I would probably make something like pasta because I feel like that's one of those meals. And we would have like a lot of red wine so we could all feel very like comfortable
Yeah.
around each other. Because this is an awkward group, clearly. So we
Yeah.
we gotta like lubricate everything. So that would be that. And then I would make a great pasta dish with a lot of garlic bread because who hates garlic bread?
Yeah, and a side of
Uh,
popcorn
and tons of popcorn, of course.
and gummy
Um,
candies, sour
indeed,
candies.
indeed. And then I would probably ask Tom Hardy if he would like to be in an open relationship with me and my boyfriend, without asking Will, obviously, because that would just make a whole awkward thing. And then I would not want someone to ask me really anything about myself. I'd love to just chat with everyone. I don't want anyone to ask me anything. I want to be asking them questions. I'm too exploratory. I want to know what's going on with them.
And then debate.
And then debate. Exactly. I'm going to ask them about all the things they don't want to be asked about.
I love that. Okay, so recommend a movie to us, either a favorite movie or a movie you liked recently, anything in that category.
Ooh, okay. So, if you haven't seen this before, then you need to. But Lost in Translation.
Oh, so good.
Oh my
I love
goodness.
all Sofia Coppola.
Oh my God, she's
The
amazing. Little did I
best.
know that she is coming from a film empire. Like,
Yeah.
I did not realize how deep her family was in film, but I'm so glad they are because they came up with the one of my favorite female directors,
Oh,
if not my favorite female
she's
director.
amazing. I know.
Yeah. And it's great. And I love it because Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson, they don't have a romantic relationship. It's platonic and it's like a friendship in this weird scenario. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that so much because Scarlett Johansson gets sexualized so much. And like
Yeah.
going into the movie, you're like, oh my God, another older man who is not the most attractive person is somehow hooking up with this really gorgeous, amazing, intellectual woman. And I just love it that it ends up being just this platonic friendship. It's my favorite. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
The central relationship not being sexual is so rare
Yep.
and unfortunately, but yeah, it makes for a great movie.
So good. That
Cool.
one's really, really good.
Were you gonna say another movie?
I guess the only other one that I could say is Brooklyn, if you haven't seen
Oh, I
it.
haven't seen it yet.
Oh my gosh, it's
Is it super
beautiful.
good? Yeah, I need to see it.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to. Cool.
it's gorgeous. I don't know the main girl's. I can never pronounce her name. She's Irish and she has a
Yeah,
really
she's
wonderful
so
last
cute
name.
and pretty. Yeah.
Oh, she's gorgeous. And her performance, well, I think it landed her a BAFTA. So definitely go check it out. It's amazing.
Cool. Favorite song right now or favorite music? Just recommend anything in that category.
Mm. Uh, okay. Beirut. I've talked about them before, but they're one of my favorite bands. Their newest album
So
is
good.
so good. Oh my God. Do you listen to them?
I do. I love them.
We are already best friends. Look at us.
We can listen
Like,
to Beirut and eat popcorn and talk about Myers Briggs, and it'll be great.
yes. Oh my gosh. We are the coolest of cools. Yeah. So yeah, obviously, dear listener of this, we both love that. So
Yeah. They're
it's
they're
that.
familiar because in like a bunch of episodes back, I do this thing, Katie Wonders, where it's basically my like how YouTubers do favorites. I did my favorites, and I always do one in the category of music. And Beirut was like my second episode or something.
Oh, okay. So
They
you
like them,
know how
yeah.
great they are.
Hopefully by now everyone should be listening, but this will really cement it for people.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah, check them out. They're great.
Yay. Okay, favorite podcast? Did you listen to podcasts?
Yeah, I listen to some podcasts. I really like TED Talks. So that's
The
like
best.
the
So
most
good.
broad podcast ever. But yes, that's great, obviously. And then I was listening to Serial season 2, but because I've listened to the first season as has everyone else that I know. But season
I
2
heard
isn't
it's
my
not as
favorite.
good. Yeah, that's what I keep
No,
hearing.
no, I don't know if I would recommend it.
That's
It's just not as mysterious, but I don't know. Not
yeah.
my favorite. Not my favorite. And then if you want to listen to a really, really great YouTube podcast,
Ooh,
because I gotta support,
the
the
tube.
YouTuber podcast, obviously. Rhett and Link's podcast. I think it's called, oh gosh, Ear Biscuits, which sounds ridiculous, but it's one of the most successful YouTuber podcasts because they really get in depth with YouTubers, and it's really interesting because you learn a lot about someone that you would never know.
Cool.
So definitely check them out. They do really interesting topics every week, and I really enjoy them.
Cool. And OMFG, How We Met.
Oh,
Give them
absolutely.
a little plug.
Go check them out because they're amazing. And I love the fact that they are like, they're not older women by any means. They are just older than most of the demographic that we deal with.
Yeah.
And they're learning and I love it.
I know.
They're like the MTV for 30-year-olds. I love it.
They're the coolest. They're the coolest.
It's kind of my favorite. I love them.
And
They're
we
so
wouldn't be here right now without them. So plug.
no. So here you go, guys. There you
I
go.
know. Love
Connection.
it. So, speaking of plugs, before I ask you the final question, anything you want to plug and promote? Can you tell us about your subscription box?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So basically, I have a subscription box out. It's the equivalent of my monthly favorites. So anything that I really love that month, I get an amazing company that I work with called Real Style to recreate in the box in my own style. So like for February, it's a love box. Everything that you could possibly want for Valentine's Day is going to be in the box. And the pricing for the boxes is $15 each box. So it's not that expensive. It's not terrible, but it's a good little
Such a
present.
cute idea.
Yeah, and it's a good, what I thought of it as is a present that I'm giving my subscribers every month, as well as a present that you can gift to yourself. Like, be selfish,
Yeah.
treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Yep, and there's always, my favorite part about the boxes is there's always something to drink in it, and by that I mean like a tea or a hot chocolate or whatever. You always get like a nice cozy mug of something out of that box, and that's my favorite. I love it.
Love that. That is so cool. So, as you know, the name of this podcast and my blog is The Wellness Wonderland. So, when I offer that term to you, Arden, to live in a wellness wonderland, what comes up? What does that mean to you?
I think that just means being content and happy with yourself, honestly. I think that means being completely satisfied with everything you're doing and feeling at one with your personality and your lifestyle and who you are.
Mm, done. So good. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was so wonderful.
How great is Arden Rose? Literally one of my favorite conversations I've had on this podcast to date. She's so cool, and I love her videos as much as I loved her as a person, which was so refreshing and so great because there are a lot of people who I watch on YouTube or I follow or I read their books, and I just hope and pray that in person, IRL, or on Skype, they're just as cool as they seem online. And if they're not, which doesn't happen often, but if it ever does, it's such a bummer. And so I'm so glad that Arden was just as cool as I made her out to be from watching her videos. Next week on the podcast, Summer In. Many of you know her, some of you might not. I don't really know her all that well, and I actually haven't done the interview yet, but she is coming up next week to talk about body image and being able to own your body and what she calls rock your body. So I'm really excited to learn from her. She's another podcast host and can't wait to have her in the hot seat and get to know her more. Cool. All right. I think that's enough for this week. We've been talking to each other for a while, so I will let you go and I will see you next week. Bye. Oh, you're still here. Don't forget, pre-order the book. That'd be so cool. And mark your calendar for New York. April 5th and April 6th. Let's hang out. Come to New York with me. And if you're there, I can't wait to see you. All right. Love you. Bye.